Alrighty. What is going on, everybody?
Hi, friends.
Sunday, so you know what that means.
Podcast day.
Podcast day.
Podcast day.
Podcast day. Yeah, been just over a week since our little Friendly Friday episode.
That's exactly right.
Hopefully.
Been in Dallas all weekend.
How was that?
A lot of alcohol.
Can imagine.
But it was good.
Can imagine.
Dude, so they have a mask mandate in Dallas, and so obviously everywhere you go, people are wearing masks. And I come home, stop at a gas station on my way home to pick up some beer, and I walk in and literally no one is wearing a mask. I'm like,
oh Jesus,
this feels weird, dude. This
feels wrong.
I feel like I just stepped in the Twilight Zone or something.
Mm-mm-mm.
But I think I stayed Rona free.
That's good.
Didn't go to any bars or anything, so.
Oh, good.
Now I'm back.
Good.
Good old Omaha.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How's New Jersey treating you?
Same old. Still pretty shit.
Still Rona rampant?
Yeah. I mean, masks are mandatory. I think most people wear them whenever they're going places. I think the beach is just kind of like the Wild West, though. But I think, it dies on impact with UAV light, or UV light. So
throwing a little radar in there and
with sunlight. So I mean, as long as you're socially distancing and wearing your mask when you go inside places and stuff, we should be good. But I think we're still pretty high on the list of cases. I haven't looked at numbers recently just because it's depressing, but yeah.
Dude, I still don't understand how it's so bipartisan. I just have a hard time understanding how that is a thing.
I don't get it, man. I do not get it. Let me look up this video you sent me on YouTube here.
Oh yeah, that's the one where the guys are talking about Joe Rogan, and it's like you can play it, and then I watched it the other day, and I was literally like, get the fuck off my computer. I don't even want to listen to you. This is so dumb.
All right. Double toasted. Scrolling. There we go, right there. All right, guys.
You could learn jiu-jitsu. You're thinking, like, I might be able to open my own school one day. Or you could just be playing video games.
Yeah, you can do anything. That's open-ended. Now, I'm not going to go off on some rant because I'm not going to have him beat my ass when he gets to Texas.
No.
So recently, Joe Rogan talked about video games on his podcast. He said video games are a complete waste of time, which got the gamers upset at him. Yeah. Considering how many of them are probably his audience, this is from Out of Context DT, by the way. Considering how many of those are probably his audience, this was probably a bad idea. Anyway, want to know what you think. Seeing how you guys frequently play games.
I'd imagine he does not play games, and that's why he's saying that. It's the same thing that why Roger Ebert said they're not art. He's never played them. He's never experienced them. So he's just speaking from a point of ignorance. So I honestly just wouldn't take it seriously. He just doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah. Yes. I'm going to put up the clip that he's saying. So
yeah. I haven't seen the clip. I'm just assuming based on what you're telling me.
Out of context, DT. I'm going to get some context out of context.
That'd be cool. He's moving to Texas.
Is he?
Yep.
Do you say why?
I think he just doesn't want to deal with the high Hollywood, the high taxes, and just how he doesn't like how overcrowded it is in LA.
Would I turn your iPad down, Alex? There you go. That'll work.
I thought I was on mute.
No, you're good.
The thing with you get all these people who say these things, and I don't get too upset because everybody has different opinions, but I will say if you speak out of ignorance, man, there's a lot of people, if they don't do something and if they're not familiar with it, then they still have this stigma of what it is, what society is giving it. Bill Maher with comic books, for example.
Exactly. He just doesn't know because he hasn't read any.
Yeah, exactly. He was very stupid. In fact, I'm not saying this from a nerdy level. I'm just saying I could say this about music, art, anything. Politics. If you don't know what you're talking about, then you just don't know what you're talking about. And when you come in with a strong opinion about something, you sound stupid if you just dismiss it because you're not familiar with it. Joe Rogan, let me see what he said. Did he say is he moving to Austin?
He didn't say where in Texas.
He's trying to move closer to what's his name?
Oh, Alex Jones.
Alex Jones.
His friend.
His friend.
Maybe his friend. I don't even know where they.
I would love to ask. I don't know. You guys tell me what Joe Rogan's political affiliation. I think he's kind of more of a libertarian.
That sounds about right.
And I just got to ask, as a father, how can you stand to still have fucking Alex Jones on your show, man? A guy that put other fathers and mothers in danger, but But this is what he talks about with video games.
They're a real problem. You know why? Because they're fun, but you don't get anywhere.
Right.
You could learn jujitsu. Right. You thinking like, I might be able to open my own school one day. Or you could just be playing video games.
You know what? I think you and I are thinking the same thing. But I saw you eager to talk. But
he raised his hand first.
I'm gonna let you know. I'm gonna let you talk. But I think you and I are thinking the same.
Again, it's the point of ignorance. Well, he's probably not aware of people who make a living playing video games or are quite wealthy. I mean, I bet he has no idea even what Twitch is, or he just doesn't understand it. Because I play video games, and I make money from that. I'm actually doing something with it. I'm cultivating new content. I'm growing a larger audience. And so, for that point right there, that you're just going to keep playing video games, and there's not going to be any significant growth for yourself, whether it be monetarily or personally. That is just not true. But again, he's speaking from a point of ignorance. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
As well, I have friends who've been studying jiu-jitsu for more than 10 years, and they ain't opening their own studio.
How many people are opening up? The studios, man.
All this. Well, you could do this. You could do, or you could not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you're going to put something out there that's so open-ended as you could, theoretically, you can do anything. Mm-hmm. That whole 300 hours rule. Shit, if I put 300 hours into anything, I could apparently going by that, I could be a rocket scientist by the end of it. I mean, you can do anything. That's so open-ended. Now, I'm not gonna go off on some rant because I'm not gonna have him beat my ass when he gets to Texas.
No,
but
And I'll say this about Joe Rogan. I think he's a very good interviewer because unlike so many interviewers out there, they never let people talk. He lets people talk, and I'm going to always give that to him. And I've seen a lot of his shows. He does produce great content.
No, he does. He does.
But at this point, he's ignorant.
But see, that's what I'm saying. There's been people out there, and you got to understand, like, there's people who will say some very intelligent things, some smart things. They'll pull people in, and people will be respectful of them because they have said some very thoughtful things. I think Joe Rogan is the kind of guy that he attempts to go in and understand people. He brings on very... He doesn't just bring on anybody for a laugh. He doesn't bring on people for comedy all the time. He wants to have engaging, thoughtful conversation, intellectual conversations with people. So when you hear him talk about something that he absolutely knows nothing about, then you kind of you want to sit back and understand. Because at first I was like, okay, maybe he's going to get to the addictive side of video games.
Sure.
But if you're talking about how anybody, and I'm just going to repeat what you said, man. You know, if you're talking about somebody can theoretically go off and start their own dojo or school or whatever, you clearly haven't seen the people that are not rich, who on platforms like Twitch and even YouTube. People are just making a decent living.
They make a living at it. Yeah, it's very true. There's so many. There's thousands, millions of people that do that.
Well, just even the more obvious is the people who make the games to begin with, people who've played and then got into the industry.
That's a great point.
I mean, I don't know how you missed that because those games don't just appear inside of a flower.
Yeah, exactly.
There's whole teams that get paid to create those things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. My argument that I would bring up, if I was sitting on this show, my argument to bring up to him, I would say, you know what? You just got $100 million payday from Spotify doing something that people said was a waste of time years ago and wouldn't go anywhere. Podcasting. You all of a sudden say, I don't want to act. I don't want to be on sets with people telling me what to do. I got to wait all day. It's like he says, I love doing this podcasting. If you had started this like 20 years ago when podcasting was coming up and it was on being made popular by Apple, iTunes and all that kind of stuff, people would have said, "This is cool, but you're never going to go anywhere with it."
Yeah.
Out of here, man. We all do it.
Sure.
I've done it. We
all speak from a point of ignorance.
We
It
all
happens.
speak from a point of ignorance, and so this is his point of ignorance right
Yeah.
here. And at least I tell him, and I hate to go back, bring this guy back up, but at least he's not as smarmy as Bill Maher. I think if you were to sit down and explain to Joe Rogan, like, okay,
No, I
this
think
is
he
the
would get
reason why
Yeah,
you're
you
wrong.
could just show him.
Yeah. I'd love to talk to him about that. That'd be actually really cool. But yeah, Bill Maher just wouldn't care. And he even downplayed the death of someone like Stan Lee, which is even worse.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't think he's like, I said it, so I don't give a. I'm going to be right no matter how much you try to prove me wrong, even if I am wrong. That's the biggest problem with Bill Maher. He's like, the more you tell, the more he realizes he's wrong. Unless Ice Cube is there to beat the shit out of him for saying the N word, the more you tell him that he's wrong, the more he's like, oh, I don't give a.
Yeah. Or he'll double down
I
on
don't
it.
care.
Yeah.
You didn't. What am I supposed to say? You're a bunch of nerds who like your nerd shit. Joe Rogan, I think, would actually sit down and understand.
Yeah.
But because like I said, man, people are making money not just on Twitch, making money on YouTube with video games, and they are just making just a living. People are like, they're not living, big lavish lifestyles. They say, I'm able to pay my rent, I'm able to like buy food. I can't go out and to the bar all the time and get a beer. I can't buy fancy clothes and sneakers and cars, but I'm doing, the dream, which is just getting by, playing video games.
Yeah.
Hey, look, it's better to probably get by doing what you love than be making crazy money doing something that you hate.
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah, man. Anyway.
Thanks for bringing.
Oh boy, those dudes. They don't.
I love the fact that they're saying that he's speaking from a point of ignorance, while the entire time they're speaking from a fucking point of ignorance.
I know, right? Because what they don't understand, and I watched another guy I like to watch on YouTube who covers a bunch of different things related to tech and some current events related around YouTube and tech and other things, video game conferences and stuff. He had a good point on this. It was Joe Rogan is not talking about the small percentage of people that make a living on video games. He's talking about the people that sit in their dark basement day in and day out and do nothing else with their life other than play video games.
Well, and if you listen to the actual podcast and you don't just listen to little snippets like they've done here, to where they just like clip a bunch of shit together to make it sound like he's saying that he's not saying.
Yeah.
He brings up Ninja. He asks, I forget who he's interviewing.
It's Desena?
Desena.
I think it's Desena.
Yeah, Chris Desena, is that right?
Or something like that. The guy that founded, I think, the Spartan Race.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
And he's saying how his kids love to sit inside and play video games all day. And he actually brings up the point where he's like, well, what do you say now that there actually are people out there making money playing video games, because, and then he relates it to like, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, like, yeah, people are going to go pro, but what is the actual percentage? And if you're out there actually playing basketball, like working with the team, there's a lot of things that you can gather from that experience that will help you out in life. But like you just said, then there's this other small percentage that just bury themselves in a basement with no lights on.
And what a lot of people don't realize is Joe Rogan, and you guys already know this from us, but we're both a bunch of Joe Rogan simps.
We're fanboys hard.
We fanboy hard for Joe Rogan. So this is kind of a biased opinion because we like him and we like his podcast, so we're defending him a little bit. But we're still trying to stay a little bit unbiased. But what people don't realize about Joe Rogan is that he was addicted to playing Quake back in the 90s. When Quake first came out, that dude played hours upon hours upon hours of Quake. He had an addiction, and he's admitted it, that he had an addiction to playing video games. And that was his point he was getting at in that clip that everybody took wildly out of context, was that he's talking about people that could be doing, those people that spend those hours upon hours playing video games and don't do anything else with their life.
Well, and I remember being like
I mean,
being in high school.
Yeah,
to
and I
where
don't
I'd
want to be
stay up-
hypocritical because I've done the same thing. But sorry, go
No,
ahead.
and no, you're good. I think both of us would recognize if he said some dumb shit. We'd be like, yeah, nah, dude. Like, I love Joe Rogan to death, but he said some dumb shit here. What that little clip of that little podcast was some dumb shit because they're taking everything that he's saying, taking it way out of context.
So many people did.
Piecing it in a position that, again, if you listen to the actual podcast, I think most people would be like, oh, I get what he's saying.
Yeah, but no,
'Cause
that's not how the
that's-
world operates, though. We take our information in snippets and bits at a time, and most of the time it's out of context, and people base their opinions off of that.
That's his personality. He talks about it with pool. He talks about it with jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
Anything that
he
he
has-
does that he likes, he gets saturated
And
in,
he said
can.
before he has an addictive personality, and he said it's never been with like alcohol and drugs, thankfully, but it's things that like video games or pool or whatever else, or jiu-jitsu, because he spent so many years practicing jiu-jitsu. And it's like anybody, when you find something you truly enjoy, you do it a lot because it brings you happiness. But
Especially if you've got an addictive personality.
But at the same time, you gotta realize when those things could A, be affecting other parts of your life, or B, you're just so mired in that you're not doing anything else productive with your life, which is what Joe was talking about. And
Exactly.
I can relate on both points because as a younger kid, I definitely played video games like hours and hours and hours, and I still do. But I'm kind of trying to like make a go of it on Twitch, but other circumstances might put that on hold for a long time because it is starting to get to the point where it's affecting other aspects of my life. So you got to sit down and take a look at it and go, okay, this is getting out of control.
Well, it's just like anything else. It has the potential to be really bad.
Yeah.
I love drinking, but if I was drinking all day, every day, and it was getting to the point where it was affecting me on a day-to-day basis, I'd have to sit down and be like, well, this ain't working.
This ain't it, Chief. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing with video games. Same thing with
literally
again,
everything
anything.
in life. You
Yeah.
just gotta do it in moderation, and sometimes we as people forget about the moderation part of it. So
as my mom says, everything in moderation, including moderation.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Every now and then you just gotta fucking let the trailer off the hitch and go crazy. If you
Every
like
now and then.
chocolate, eat a shitload of chocolate, but not every day.
Not every day.
Yeah. Anyway, anytime anybody calls Joe Rogan ignorant or speaking from a place of ignorance, I'm like, okay, wait a minute here. I don't.
Did
like
you do
where
your research?
You were sounding very ignorant right now
Yeah.
with what you're saying. Anyway,
But yeah, well, we just wanted to open with that because we thought it was kind of funny that Joe Rogan was getting blasted for something that got taken out of context,
completely out of context.
wildly out of context. But
And somebody else wanted us to talk about mental health this week.
yep. So I think that's gonna be the main theme of this week is we're gonna take some time and talk about mental health. Mainly, this person wanted us to talk about men's mental health more so than just mental health in general because he feels, and I tend to feel the same way, that men's mental health is not talked about as much, or our focus is focused on as much as just mental health in general. But I want to start with saying that I appreciate you guys reaching out to us during the week and giving us things that you think would be interesting for us to talk about that you've seen through your perusings on the internet or your daily lives. So we appreciate that.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so men's mental health. I don't know. This is gonna be. It could be hard for me to talk about because I haven't had much dealing with it. And I'll be flat out honest. I have fallen into the I wouldn't say the category, but the pitfall of saying just gut it up and pull your head out of your ass, or just just come on, big dog, like pull yourself up by your bootstraps. For me, most of the time that works for me. Where I failed in understanding and empathy is trying to put that mindset onto other people, which is unfair. And I need to do a better job of being more empathetic and understanding of where people are coming from. Yeah.
Well, it's hard, especially as males. You're literally taught that your whole life. Suck it up, rub some dirt on it. Be a man. Come on. You're fine. Come on.
Right.
Again, just that rub some dirt on it type mentality. And as someone who's been diagnosed with depression, among other things, not that it matters that much, but it does get to a point where like you're almost driving yourself crazy by saying like you can get through this, like you can do this, your things are fine, and there's literally a chemical imbalance in your brain to where things aren't fine. And making that first step, that first phone call, whatever it looks like, that's fucking terrifying, dude. Like it sucks. If I didn't have my younger sister, shout out to Mary, um, I don't want to say that I wouldn't be alive right now, because I don't know that that's necessarily true. But my life would have looked a lot different if I never would have actually taken that first step to like therapy and getting diagnosed. And um, it, I'll never forget the day something happened at work, and it was like a little, I don't even really remember what happened. And my dad is my boss. And I remember being at work and just being so fucking furious. Like, and this was like a snowball of things, like kind of leading up to this point. And it was something little. And like in your head, you're thinking, like, this shouldn't be that big of a deal. But internally, you're just like, fuck. Like, you're just raging, And I went home that day, and my dad followed me home, and he didn't even say anything. And he knocked on my back door, and he was like, "What is going on, man? Like, what's wrong?" And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just in a funk, again, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. Like, just kind of pull yourself out of this little slump. Like, everything's fine. And I was living with my sister and Hugo at that time. And later on that night, I was doing laundry, and I was switching my laundry from the washing machine to the dryer. And I dropped one sock on the floor, on like the basement floor when I was moving it. And internally, I'm just like, you fucking idiot. Like, oh my God, now that sock's dirty. Now you're going to have to wash it again. Like, and I started crying. And I'm like, again, inside, you're like, dude, it's a fucking sock. Like, what in the hell? Like, what's going on? Like, this is just so weird. And I came upstairs and I told Mary, I was like, I think I have like depression or something. Like, I think, and she struggles with mental health also. Um, and literally we got out the bottle of whiskey and we just like chatted and took a few shots, and then found a therapist online. And I texted her, and she texted me right back, and I made an appointment for like 2 days later. And when you really start confronting yourself about things that have happened in the past, and a lot of it was like relationship based for me, like moving from Texas to Omaha, like in a very peak prime time of my life, kind of having to grow up really fast also, to the point where it was like my dad and I paying the bills because we didn't have any money. He had lost his job right after he moved to Omaha, heart of the recession. So when you really start deep diving into the way you think and the way that your brain has been wired around the conditions that are around you, it is incredibly eye-opening. Like, it's hard and it sucks. Like, it is not a fun process. It was dark and sloppy and messy, and like I didn't want to do any of it because every step of it really did suck. But when you do that kind of hard back foundational work, it helps you understand why you process the things that the way you process them, and helps you the next situation you get into be able to recognize that this like kind of tribal, like innate version of yourself is like, this is fucked up, like this is horrible. And then at the same time, your kind of reasoning can kick in and be like, okay, you think this, you're processing this because of the way you've processed X, Y, and Z, and not every one of these situations is going to turn out like it has in the past. And it's fucking hard, dude. It sucks. I hate it. Mac and I were joking around the other day. My brother, he was like, aliens are gonna come down and like cure depression and like give us technology like where we don't need to talk to each other anymore. I'm like, if a fucking alien could cure my depression, I would give that alien the biggest hug in the world, because it sucks, dude. I hate it. Something you live with every day, you know. It's just one of those things. And again, I think it's hard to get to the point where you recognize that like this isn't something that is your fault. It would be like somebody who has the flu or somebody who has the coronavirus, whatever, saying, "Oh, it's your fault that, you know, you're sick." And that's not the way that it goes. You're just playing the hand that was dealt to you, and it's not like you can take necessary actions or steps. And I know diet, health, exercise. I'm an active person. I eat pretty well. I don't sit in front of a TV screen for like 12 hours a day, you know. But at the end of the day, when I had the house, I had the car, I had the job, like all of these things are things that it's like, oh, you'll be happier if you just have this. You'll be happier if you just do this. Oh, if you can accomplish this, then you'll be happy. And at the end of the day, you do all those things and you're like, dude, I'm still fucking sad. Like, I don't know why like, things should be fine. I have everything that people say that you should have. And I'm still fucking sad at the end of the day. And it's just the chemical balance of your brain. Like, it's not something you can really control. It's really all I have to say about that for right now. I feel like I'm dominating this conversation.
No, that's totally fine because, like I said, I haven't had to deal with it. Well, I say I haven't had to deal with it. I think I probably have some probably mental health issues that I've just tried to bury through, you know, and I think it stemmed maybe from how I grew up, which I didn't grow up terrible, but I feel like at some point I did get old faster than what I should have, perhaps, and 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 I feel like to some degree that might have made me calloused and cold because I don't know, I find it hard, I guess, for myself to be empathetic towards people.
Yeah.
It's just it's something I know I do, but I don't consciously think about it, and I don't I haven't really made it a much effort to change it. And I mean, looking back and stuff, and currently it's affected things. And I probably should have gotten some type of help or talked to somebody way sooner than. Well, I haven't even talked to anybody yet, but like I should have realized that I needed to talk to somebody about that because, and it's just, I know it's just weird. Like my sister got diagnosed, I think, with depression and anxiety, and well, I guess we didn't really realize it at the time growing up, but that caused her and I to butt heads a lot. And we talk every now and then, and like honestly, that relationship is it's better now. For a while there, it was horrible, but it's because I didn't understand what she was going through mentally. I couldn't figure out how to relate and talk to her about it, and so. The conversations that I have with people about mental health issues they're uncomfortable for me.
Well, they're
they're uncomfortable for people in general. But I think they're
exactly.
more uncomfortable for me because I don't know how to respond. And
Yeah.
so when people try to talk to me about them, they can see that I'm uncomfortable, and it doesn't do anything to help them because I I seem like closed off
Yeah.
about it. So I mean, there's things I've got to work on there. Spaceman, thank you for that raid.
What's up, Spaceman? It's well, like you said, it's an uncomfortable thing to talk about. Like the best way that I could describe my mental health journey is sloppy and messy and dark. But if I wouldn't have done the work that I did to get to this point, like I was in a 10-year relationship and basically it was ripped apart by like my family moving to Omaha, blah blah blah, right? But I would have never been able to get on the other side of that and be in a position where I am now to actually have like a healthy relationship because I was always carrying that around with me. Right. It was like this little box. It's like you pack it up in your brain and you just stick it back in like the corner of your brain, and your brain's really good at being like, hey, we're not going to pay attention to that. We're not even going to look at it. Not even going to, we're going to pretend it's not there. And then 10:30 at night when you're laying in bed, you know, trying to go to sleep, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, what's that box over there? Let's go dig through that box a little bit. You want to go? Let's go check out what's inside of that. And then it's like it just pours open, you know, and you're like sitting there just eating yourself alive, and you're like, okay, pack it up, put it back in the corner. You know, let's disassociate. Let's make sure, let's pretend that that's not there at all. And then you get into another situation where that box has like some association. For me, it was relationships. And it's like, okay, new relationship. Like, well, we're on to the relationship thing again. So what, do you remember what's in that box back there? Do you remember? Let's go check that out again. And it's like, nope, don't even want anything to do with relationships. Nope, done. Can't. And it was destroying my relationship life. It was absolutely destroying it. I was in this cycle of failed relationships and couldn't understand what was happening until you go to therapy and you really start to unpack some of that stuff. And I got on a flight on a Tuesday. No, I got on a flight on a Thursday, booked the flight on a Tuesday because I had to go tell this girl what I was feeling. And I was like, this is like my last ditch effort at trying to make this work. Went down, didn't give her like a proposal, like a ring, but like gave her like the situation, like this is where I'm at. She kind of left me out to dry with it. And then what else can you do? You know, you got to move on at some point in time. It sucks.
So my thing with that is like, just with the boxing things up, mine, I box it or bottle it up, whatever analogy you want to use, and if it even looks like it's gonna pop open, I cork that thing and duct tape it down. Like I am so horrible at talking about my feelings, and I don't even know where that came from.
Well, I think why I don't even know who wanted us to talk about male health in particular.
I don't even think we need to specify it just to male mental health. Like, yes, no, for the longest time that's been, you know, it's just been, you know, rub some dirt in it. But I think it's just, we just need to open it up to just, it's just mental health in general.
Exactly. And I don't want to say like, because you could come from a male dominant family as a female and your dad preaches the same thing to you, but especially in my upbringing, my sisters always got held to a very different degree than I got held to, as far as like emotions and relationships and like, you know, blah, blah, blah. And again, it's not like a male versus female thing, but I do think that especially as like an older brother, I was expected to carry myself and conduct myself in a different manner that was stronger, more resilient. Like I'm the leader of this little tribe.
I feel that hard because I'm the oldest out of my little group of siblings. So I was,
and if I'm in trouble, they're in trouble. So I can't be in trouble. I can't compromise all of us just because I'm feeling this way.
Right.
So I'm just going to fucking pull my pants up. I'm going to fucking put my big boy pants on, whatever metaphor, cliche saying you want to say. But I feel like that is a very real thing within the male gender and male society. It's like we're the strong ones in this situation. And if we're weak, the rest of us are weak. And I can't be weak right now. Like, especially when my family's in the most vulnerable position, this is now where I have to be stronger than ever.
Right.
And no one can see me sweat, because if they start to see me sweat, we're showing signs of vulnerability. And that shit ain't happening. We're getting through this.
Yeah, I've been there. I had to do that for my siblings a couple times as we went through a couple of tumultuous times as a family, and I had to bottle up. Well, I didn't have to, but I did. I did bottle up what I was feeling in order for my younger brother and sister to see some type of solid foundation in the stormy waters that were happening at the time. And I think that just stayed with me and carried over, and it's just been something that I've done, for forever. And now it's we're at a point now where it can't be like that anymore. There's got to be changes made, at least on my end, for sure.
Well, it's again, I hate to just keep saying this over and over, but it's fucking hard, dude.
Yeah, it's gonna be, and I don't. It's not that I don't try to avoid hard things. I don't know. This hard thing is gonna be. It's gonna be a bitch.
Yeah, dude.
But if it does, and it works out for the better, then I'm all for it. Which, I mean, I used to be the type that would say, "Oh, if you go to therapy, you're weak." Like, why do you need somebody else? It's such a toxic way of thinking.
It's such a dangerous ideology.
It's
and
so
I
bad.
thought the same thing. I spent literally a decade, 10 years of my life in a really dark space, like contemplating suicide frequently, like having it all planned out. There's a tree on the way back, so I go to Lincoln frequently for appointments, which is like a 45-hour drive.
45-minute.
45-minute, yeah.
Yes.
45-minute hour drive from me. And you have to go over a bridge. There's the Platte River, and there's, like, right before you get on the bridge, the kind of guardrails duck off.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a group of big trees, but there's this big tree in particular that every time I see it, I just think of my entire journey. But I always thought, if I'm not wearing my seatbelt and if I hit that tree hard enough, it will look like it was an accident. I could, like, send a text right before, so people could be like, oh, he was texting and driving, so nobody would really know that I took my own life, but that would be the absolute reasoning. Like, it would be completely intentional. I had it.
Right.
This is just like one of 5 scenarios that I had played out in my mind, to where I was like, okay, it'll look like an accident. So, like, and I lost a cousin to suicide. My dad has a twin brother who took his own life probably 7 years ago or so. And I remember my mom at his funeral saying, if you ever do this to yourself, I will hate you for the rest of your life. And I don't know why that stuck with me so much. So I always made it, in my mind, think, okay, well, it's got to look like an accident. I can't do it to the point where, like, it's going to be perceived as a suicide. It's got to look like an accident. And dude, the days leading up to me finally reaching out to somebody, that was a very real thing that could have happened on the wrong day, to where I just would have been like, you know what, fuck it. I'm fucking done. Yeah. Like, I don't want to do this shit anymore. This is too hard. It's too hard to fucking live in my own brain anymore, and I'm sick of it. And it's such a, I feel like I'm ranting, but it's such a hard thing to wake up and hate your own brain. Like, to hate the space that you have to live within every day. And it's not a 24/7 thing. Again, it's like, some days you wake up and you feel great, and it's like, dude, I got this. Like, I'm fucking gonna go out there. I'm gonna kill it today. Like, I'm gonna crush this. and then one little thing, you hear the wrong song on the radio, you have the wrong interaction with the wrong person, or your brain just says, you know what, while we're driving today, let's open up that old box that we put back there, and it just fucking destroys you. Like,
Right.
it just consumes your entire mentality. And then you get in a position where you're like, I fucking hate this. This sucks. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to live within the constructs that my brain has decided that I'm going to live within. And I'm fucking done. I'm sick of it. I don't want to do it anymore. And if I wouldn't have found my therapist when I found her, and again, thank God for my little sister, because she was actually the one that did the Google searching that found the therapist that I have now. And these days, I would also like to point out, just so it's not all doom and gloom, like, I'm doing pretty well. Like, I meet with my therapist once a month now, and most times we're like old friends now. Like, we just kind of chat about what's going on in each other's lives. I don't have those thoughts. You do. Everybody does, I think. Everybody deals with it to some degree, but the way that you can process it and feel it and work through it is a lot different for every individual person, especially if you have that chemistry in your brain off to begin with. It's a tough place to live, man.
Right.
I wouldn't wish it on anybody. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. There are people out there that I do not like, and I would never wish depression and like serious suicidal thoughts on any of them, because it's not a fun place to be.
Right. Let me catch up with chat here. Oh, gee, hold on.
We have a couple names I've never seen before. Also, I appreciate
welcome.
Poison Fantasy. Yeah, borderline personality disorder is a tough one, man.
Yeah,
PTSD is even worse.
I can't imagine that. Let me scroll back up. So, Marcus says, Marcus, welcome. How you doing, buddy? Also, thank you for following too. So yeah, he definitely understands where you are coming from, and where I'm coming from a little bit as well. But like I said, I'm horrible at dealing with this, and I think I've had depressive episodes, but I don't think I've ever had, at least in my mind, full blown like diagnosed depression. But so there are that. And Poison Fantasy, she said, she's a female. She does that. Don't want to feel like a burden on people, so why bring it up? I do feel that. I'm the same way with that. I would rather not, burden people with what's going on in my personal life, because that's my personal life, and I feel that I should deal with that myself instead of bringing other people into it, and that's not a great mindset when I've got so many people around me as a support system that I could go to whenever, and I just don't. Marcus also said that I feel like as men we're formed to bottle up our feelings, and we shouldn't do that. It's how we destroy ourselves mentally. That's true. That's a very true statement.
Are those like direct messages to you, or is my chat not loading?
Your chat might not be loading because it's on the stream. It's on the chat.
Okay.
Spaceman said, back when I didn't have control over my anxiety, I felt was burning people by talking about my feelings. It's how you felt overall. I like that you guys are engaging with this one.
Absolutely.
And this is like we've said before, a safe space for you to talk about whatever you want to talk about, related to our topics, as long as they're not heinous.
I'll say this is the part that like always makes me tear up a little bit. I had no idea the amount of people in my life that truly care about me, like that would be devastated if I was not living anymore, until I started opening up about depression and like suicidal thoughts and shit. Like, it's making me tear up now. You just have no idea the amount of people that really do fucking care about you until you start to talk about the idea that you wouldn't be around anymore. And it's like, dude, what the fuck am I thinking? Like, I have so many people that love me. Like, And it's not that superficial, like, oh, love you, see you next time. It's like,
Like full on
and
fucking.
people know that I'm a religious guy, and I am convinced that God has put so many wonderful people in my life very intentionally, so that when I came to cross this bridge, I could do it and not have to cross it alone, you know. And it's it just astounds me. Like, my dad started reading articles about depression. He doesn't get it. Like, he's an Iowa farm guy, you know. He's the prototype of like, pull your pants up, rub some dirt on it, you know. And I'll never forget, I was diagnosed with depression late October, and I went to his house for Thanksgiving, and we were going to go to my grandma's house. And he had the guidepost sitting on the kitchen counter, and he was like, I found this article on depression. Like, this guy's wife suffers with depression, and he doesn't understand it. And I read this article, and it really helps me understand the way that you're feeling. And I was like, dude, like, you're reading articles on depression, really? Like, just for me? That, you know, like, I know you'll never get it. I know you'll never understand it, and I don't expect you to. But just the fact that you're willing to do something like that, like, that means more to me than anything else in the world. Like, just to know that you're there and that you're trying to understand.
Right.
You know?
That's the path that I need to get on and start trudging down. Is becoming more supportive and understanding, and trying to understand. I might not get it, but I need to be a better person and be able to get to a point where I'm trying to understand it.
Well, and you know that I'm not just saying this because we're on a podcast, but you know that I'll be your number one fan, supporter. I got you
Yeah, I know, and I appreciate
for
it.
all that shit, bro.
I appreciate it.
I went through some dark times also, and you guys were always, you, Brendan, Hugo. Again,
and this is
people that I didn't go to school with, like, people that
Yeah.
I've met. Honestly, like, I've met you in person like a handful of times.
You could count them on probably 3 fingers.
Yeah, but these people that consistently get put into my life, that it's like a very intentional, divine, like, it's so wild to me, like, the amount of people, again, that really truly care about you at the end of the day, that want to see you succeed and want to help you out. Like, somehow these people get put into my life, and again, you know that I'll be there every step of the way, man.
I appreciate it, and I I don't know. Nah. I'm trying to figure out.
I know where you're going.
Yeah, and I don't want to. Some of you know. Some of you know. Okay, chat doesn't know, but you know. And I'm gonna put it out there like that because I don't need to. But I've been. It's just so shitty. I've taken people for granted that I shouldn't have, and and I was better with some people. Well, not with some. I was better with friends and being supportive of them, and I should have done the same thing for other people. And I don't know why it took me the major wake up call that happened for me to get to this point where I was like, Jesus Christ, you've done what have you done? But I'm going to I got work to do, and it's gonna be shitty, and it's gonna be tough, and it's gonna be messy. But you do these things for the people you care about.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, you do them for the people you care about, but you also do it to make yourself a better person.
Right.
You know.
And it's taken me. Thank you for following Poison. And I was talking with my dad the other day, and he's told me, because he and I we're very similar, and I've been talking to him, and he's like, look, man, I tried to give you the roadmap to make your path easier, and every step of the way you didn't take the path, you didn't follow my map, and you have fallen into every pothole that I fell into. And he's like, I didn't want that for you, man, but you've done it, and now you've got to find out the hard way.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many times he told me that through my entire life, and every single time I don't learn. I just want to go at it bullheaded, the hardest way possible.
Yeah.
And it's taken me almost 26 years of life on Earth to finally pull my head out of my ass when there's the best thing on the line.
Yeah.
And it's scary.
Well, you gotta. Sometimes the best way to learn is from the potholes, man. You're a lot like me in the sense that like I learn more in those situations to where I'm at rock. Oh, and again, it's either you either learn or you fucking curl up in the fetal position and die.
And that's
or
what I'm not
metaphorically die.
metaphorically.
You know?
And I'm fighting hard to not get to the fetal position. I'm fighting to get out of this pothole, and we'll see what happens.
It's like Poison just said. Sucks being stubborn. 31 and still learning, and I'm 31 as well, and I still learn more every single day. You know,
sometimes now that hindsight's 2020, I wish that I would have learned sooner.
And I'll also say this: as much as I wish I would have done things different at different points in my life, I am very grateful, and I wouldn't change it if you had to ask me to go back. And if you could give me a redo, I love where I'm at right now as a human, and I realize that I have more room to grow, and I realize that there's been dark times. It was Dr. Phil, coincidentally enough, who I never knew his whole story and path, like how he's actually a doctor and is actually like a forensic criminal scientist before he ever whatever. But he said those people that have experienced deep turmoil, those people that have been to the lowest of the lows, they have a tendency to try to stay at an even keel because they realize if things are too good, that there's going to be the rubber band effect and that they're going to come back down.
Yeah.
But at the adverse time, when things are really bad, there's still that rubber band effect. So things can't always be that bad. So like you try to live your life at like this even keel, and you end up just like going through the motions. Like you end up as like this just like vanilla type person that just like is just kind of a lot da 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 da, and you stay away from the highs, but you stay away from the lows. So you always kind of live at this like middle ground. And that's not a fucking way to go through life, dude. No. That's not a way to live life. Like you gotta experience.
Gotta take the highs and the lows.
Yeah, you gotta live in the highs, and you gotta live in those moments that like. Again, I was in Dallas this weekend for one of my best friend's 30th birthday, and I'm looking around, and it's like people that I grew up with, and it's just this like jubilant environment. And I was playing Mary's music for him, and they're all like vibing on that, and like I just wanted to bottle that up and put it in my pocket so I could be like, these are the moments, like this is what you live for, and sometime this week some fucking travesty could happen and I could go to the lowest of the lows, but you also have to process and bottle those up as well to remember that when things are good, they could always be this bad.
Right.
You can't live in that vanilla gray area, because you're gonna end up just fucking driving yourself crazy, going through the motions, and that's not a way to go through life, man.
And you'll end up driving people away inadvertently.
Exactly.
And yeah.
Life is meant to be shared. 31 and single, I can tell you, life is definitely meant to be shared.
Indeed.
Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah, that's I don't know how much. I can't get into too much more because I'll end up just
No, I know what you mean, man.
spilling out a bunch of things that I don't want to spill out right now because I'm not in a spot where it needs to be spilled out to to everybody. Certain people, yes, because those are the people that A, I need to talk to, and B, the ones that are there to support. But yeah,
We'll get there.
we'll get there. We'll get through it. And we'll see how it goes. I got a lot of learning to do through the whole thing, life in general, things that are going on now. Hopefully it turns out for the best, and hopefully I'm not too stubborn to not take away the lesson that is getting thrown in my face at 90 miles an hour.
You won't be. You're smart.
So, well, hopefully this time I am.
You'll piece through it. I swear, and this is not like a humble brag. Well, it might be a humble brag. The smartest people are oftentimes the most stubborn because it's like, I know what the fuck I'm doing. You don't think I know what I'm doing here? Like, my way is clearly the fucking best way.
I have
so,
a horrible problem with that. I want to always walk into a room and be the smartest person in the room because I know I'm intelligent and I'm smart, and if I had applied myself more so, the GPA would reflect. But
listen, we got a problem, and I'm the guy to solve it.
Yeah,
that's and
so I went.
That's cute that you want to solve it.
Yeah.
That's very nice of you. But have you heard my idea?
Exactly, yeah, and that that carries over into other aspects, and it ends up not being good.
It does.
So yeah,
Spaceman wants us to talk about Will Smith becoming a meme.
Uno momento.
That's quite the shift.
It's a big shift. Poison Fantasy says, I swear those of us who struggle have a beacon that we all see and radiate to, a big old support system. That's true. People that have gone through the shit.
That's very well put, Poison.
People that have gone through shit and hit the lowest point of the low can just grasp onto that and see that in other people. And I mean, it's cool. It's cool that happens because then you know that those people are like-minded and they know how to help you.
And again, when somebody else has been through, again, well, let me put it. Maybe this isn't a good example. Well, I'll just put it this way. So if you were a female and you had a miscarriage, right? I could sit here and say, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. But I would never have the emotional capability to really understand what that complete just like emotional
devastation
tax looks like, you know. But when someone has been through what you have been through and they've seen those lows, it helps you enjoy the highs with that person. You have that emotional bridge to know that this person knows exactly where I'm coming from. This person has felt it, they've lived it, they've been there, and we're fucking still doing it, man. We're still here together in this beautiful moment to where we can support each other. And it's like a bright spot of humanity, I think, to where people can actually rally around each other and say, hey, look, it doesn't matter. I don't know who Poison Fantasy is at all, but I can tell she's been through. It is a she, right?
Yes.
Okay. It is a she. That was not nice. She is a she is what I meant to say. But I can tell she's been through, and you know, what was it, Spaceman earlier talking about anxiety. I refreshed my chat so I can't go up. But when people have felt those feelings and they've been through what you've been through on an emotional level, it helps you realize that you're not alone. Like you're not. It's okay to not be okay, because there's a lot of people that aren't okay, and there's a lot of people that are fucking struggling and hurting. But if we can not isolate ourselves and we can rally around each other, then we can make an impact and we can make a difference and we can keep the train moving in the right direction. So I appreciate all of you guys.
For sure.
A lot.
For sure.
We've already been going for an hour, man.
Yeah.
Jeez, that was a quick hour.
Goes by fast when you really get into it.
I know. Sucks.
It does indeed. You know what else sucks? Wayfair wiggling their way out of their whole shit pie that they
Dude,
created for themselves.
I for real almost missed boarding my flight to Dallas because I was sitting on my iPad just like furiously typing away. Like, you gotta be shitting me. Like, pulling up article after article about like Wayfair conspiracy debunked. And I'm like, okay, thank God. Click. Like, okay, well, that doesn't debunk it. That doesn't debunk it. Okay, they didn't get a comment back from Wayfair. I'm like, well, this doesn't fucking mean anything.
Yeah.
This doesn't mean anything at all.
No.
In fact, the only concrete, here we go. The only concrete yeah, the Hasbro thing.
Oh,
That's
yeah, I'll get to that
weird.
too.
Yeah. The only concrete thing that I found debunking any of it was the fact that Wayfair stood behind their stance and their pricing of those cabinets by saying they were quote unquote industrial grade. When at first they came out and said, oh, that's errant pricing, that's a glitch in our pricing system, they came out and doubled down on the pricing of the items. So why did you remove them?
Right.
If that was the accurate pricing and you came out and you said, oh, that's inaccurate pricing, we're going to remove all those items so the price can accurately reflect. And then they come out later and say, no, that was actually the pricing. These are just industrial grade items.
I don't give
Like,
a fuck what you want to call them, bro. I've watched so much HGTV in my life that I've never seen one person ever go, yeah, cabinets are going to cost you $10,000. You can
17 grand.
You can build cabinets for fractions of that cost. Even if somebody and Wayfair like probably got some decent stuff, but their quality is not good enough to charge $17,000 for a set of cabinets.
I can buy a complete in-home golf simulation system with the technology and the nets and the mats and everything for 15 to 20 grand.
Right.
You're telling me that fucking bedside stand
is the
something
same price?
About that makes that worth the same technology of an indoor golf simulator?
Not
a
at
computer?
Not
because
at
it's
all.
quote unquote industrial grade?
Industrial
what
grade.
What does that even mean?
It's not even like I've seen the shit on Wayfair. Industrial grade they do not sell. That is not industrial grade, and even industrial grade cabinets don't cost that much.
How the fuck do you double down on a $12 to $17 to $10,000 bedside stand?
It doesn't make sense.
Double down on it.
Yeah.
They said this is accurate pricing.
No. I don't know what market you're trying to sell that in, but it's not.
USA Today comes out with an article saying, oh, because it's so, this was another quote that I thought was funny. Unfortunately, it's a lot easier to just traffic children than to come up with a complete online furniture catalog. Like, okay, so just because it's easier, and in whose eyes is that easier?
Well,
by the way?
And if they're doing if they're doing this and trafficking in children, they went ahead and they already have the online furniture retailing part set up. It's like and this is so bad, but like it's the perfect cover. It's the perfect cover for them because they have built up a reputation to being, or supposedly to be, an affordable home furnishing company. And then you come out with the most unaffordable set of cabinets I've ever seen. I could walk to I could go into Home Depot this coming week and look at cabinets, and they're not going to be 10 grand.
Ben, there were $12,000 pillows. You're telling me those pillows are industrial grade pillows?
No way. Poison Fantasy's got a good point.
When the same pillows are like $70.
I can get them on Amazon for $20. Like, Poison Fantasy's got a good point. She said, random thought, could the prices be the ages, i.e. $12,000 for whatever is equating to a 12-year-old or $10K for a 10-year-old. Like,
it very well could be.
It could be. And I just don't like they've created their website, and now if this all comes out, which it should, if it is true that they're trafficking in children, like the website it's a perfect cover.
Yeah.
It's a perfect cover. It's really and USA Today is speaking from a point of ignorance. Websites are so easy to set up. I was in high school and I took a web design course for one of my computer classes in high school. Websites are insanely easy to set up, and they don't even have to be super good. The website I made was garbage, but I made a website. It's so easy, and there's so many tutorials and programs that aren't expensive at all, where you can just create a website under whatever guise you want and do nefarious things.
And not even, I mean, that's a great point, but like, in what world do we live in where real journalism work comes from talking to the point of theories? Like, well, it would be so much easier for them to do this, therefore that means this isn't true.
It's the world we live in now.
No,
Journalism's
that's not fucking journalism.
It's
that's
not. Journalism
that's not
isn't
fact-finding.
Journalism isn't journalism anymore. It's hot takes and hit points. And there's very few journalists left that actually go out and find the facts. And if the ones that do and try and publish these stories with whatever network or corporation they're with, they don't see the light of day because it's against the norms or whoever is funding that network or that news outlet.
I was genuinely hoping on every article that I clicked on. I don't want this shit to be true.
No, I really
want
don't.
It to be true. I would love for somebody to send me something with some sort of concrete evidence to the fact that Wayfair was not trafficking children. It would help me sleep better at night. And the very first one that I clicked on, I'm like, okay, thank God somebody debunked this, because now I'll be able to, sleep easier at night, and I'll go on the podcast and say, hey, this was wrong. Click on the first one. I'm like, again, scrolling, like, okay, valid point. Well, that's not evidence. That's not true. And we've debunked this thought. I'm like, no, you haven't. You've not debunked this thought, because the same questions still exist. And then next article, same story. Next article, same story. I'm like, okay, you guys have not debunked anything.
Mm-mm.
These are all just like opinion pieces, basically, to where coincidentally you're all saying that Wayfair is not trafficking children, where it still kind of fucking looks like Wayfair is trafficking children. Like,
yeah.
the points exist the same. You have not brought any concrete facts to the table whatsoever. And in a lot of cases, Wayfair declined to comment. Like, if they were so innocent, why wouldn't they be the poster children for themselves to come out and say, whoa, this is wrong, even if it is industrial grade steel, like, this is the gauge of steel we're using. This is why this costs that much. Like, here's some justification within the pricing. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Poison Fantasy says declined to comment to me, says guilty.
Yeah.
And along the same kind of lines, I'll show you guys this video that Spaceman sent to me. Corporations are conditioning our kids now. And this is wild.
This is where, to me, where it's not like factual, but it's still to the point where it's like, all right, this is fucking weird.
It's weird. I don't know
I'm gonna
about.
grab a beer while you show this.
I don't know
video,
about. I don't know if it's conditioning, but it's super weird that this is on a toy, and there's no mention of it on the box, and it's in the position where it is. Here, I'll show you guys the video, and then we'll discuss and go from there. So this is the video. Let me turn this up.
I wanted to do a quick video because I find this disturbing and I find it something that needs to be shared. As you all know, stuff that's been going on in the world about the sex trafficking in kids and things that are thrown in our kids' faces to kind of groom them and make them kind of a little bit more oblivious to things that are really happening. So it was my daughter's birthday a couple days ago, and she turned 2, and she was given this gift. It's like a little Poppy doll. It's adorable. And here's the box. So she had a Poppy birthday, and so they gave her this. It's just from the new movie, The Trolls World Tour. On the box, it says Giggle and Sing Poppy. On the back, it says that if you push her tummy right here, sorry, it's glaring. If you push her tummy right here, she makes 10 phrases and sounds, and that's all it talks about, and it comes with a little comb. So, I mean, she does all that. You touch her tummy, and she makes little singing sounds, and she's super cute. Well, I was showing her to my husband, and I heard some other sounds that I had never heard before. And if you look down here, I figured a video was the best way. So I just touched her tummy, and she's gonna sing for a minute. But down here is a button right here on her privates. And if you push those, she makes these sounds. Like a gasping sound. And I know some of you may not think this is a big deal, but especially since I've had kids, this is wrong. For one, this button, it says nothing about this button on the box. Nothing. It's just there. And it makes a gasping sound when you touch her privates. And to me, it's just like sexual sounds, and it's so disturbing.
All right, so that's that video, you guys.
Reagan wants to say hi to you real quick.
Oh, okay. Hi,
Say
Reagan.
hi to Ben. You say hi to him, Ben.
Hi, Reagan. How are you doing?
Ben says, how are you doing? She's doing good. She just
Good.
found the jackpot of toys.
Yeah, she did.
She's got Scooby-Doo. She's got Buzz.
She's
got Tommy Pickles.
Tommy Pickles. Look at that.
Can that thing talk?
That thing can talk. That's my Chucky doll. Not the real Chucky. The Chucky Finster doll. He just shakes.
It didn't really talk.
You want to play with him too?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He just got to stay in his box because
Oh, nice.
Yogi.
I'll be down soon. That's Reagan.
Nice. She's adorable.
She is super cute. Very smart too. Yeah, not Chucky the Killer doll. Yeah, and there's my kitty cat Luna.
Okay. Poison Fantasy said, Show Dog's movie. The dog was getting its private touch. We're told it's normal in the show dog business and told to go to their happy place. Interesting. That's weird. Yeah, so that toy is weird. Why would you put the button there?
Yeah.
And why would you not mention it on the box? I reached out to Hasbro. I direct messaged them on Twitter and was like, basically, this is me paraphrasing, but I was basically like, yo, what the fuck? They have declined to comment. They have not reached back to me yet. So,
well, and that's my thing is if okay, again, playing the devil's advocate, right? There's a button that when she falls, she falls on her butt or whatever, it's like, oh, she fell, but why wouldn't you put that on the box to where that's a feature? So if a parent was slightly uncomfortable with I don't like the positioning of that button on this doll, makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable, which I probably would in my own children's. I don't have any of my own, but if a child was my own or my nephew, I'd be like, a little bit weird, maybe not the best doll for us, Why would you even have it as a feature?
Right. And see, my thing on the counterpoint to that is, if the kid's playing with the doll, how often are those legs going to be folded out to where it will fall and hit that button? It's very strange. Hasbro hasn't got back to me yet. And there was a whole thread on that. Walmart has pulled that off of their website. I'm sure they probably pulled it off their shelves. There was another one, a Power Rangers action figure has the same sort of button on the crotch, and he makes kind of weird sounds when you push that button. It's like, why are you putting, first of all, as a toy maker, why are you putting those buttons in those places? What is your reasoning behind having those buttons and those sounds come from your toys and the positioning of those buttons? Riddle me that one.
Well, and while we're on this topic, I've sent you so many memes of pedophilia trying to link up with the LGBTQ community. No, motherfucker.
Mm-mm. And we talked about this before on
I know.
another podcast. It might have been episode 5, I think.
It was the gender fluidity one.
Yeah, it was epised 5.
But it's it's real.
Yeah,
like,
they're trying very hard,
it's
and there's
really fucking happening.
And there's people at TED Talks. It's one clip. It goes around a lot, but it's like the chick is like, we just need to accept these people for who they are.
Fuck no.
Welcome them into the LGBTQI plus community. They can't help the way that they are. Bullshit. That in no way, to me, should ever come anywhere near that, and should not be accepted as a sexual orientation, because it's not. It's
Look,
a
man,
fucking I don't even want to call it a mental disorder. It's just fucking gross.
I know. I don't know how to put this the right way. I feel, because clearly there are people that have some sort of weird, very awful, horrible, toxic sexual like desires.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's clearly a thing. And I do feel for those people, but I don't feel for the ones at all that act upon those feelings.
Right, because there's plenty of people that have those and know it's wrong and don't act on it.
And again, like we were just talking about with mental health, it takes a person to look in the mirror and say, what I'm doing is not right. It's not working. So I need to readdress this and try to help myself out here, versus just acting and preying upon. I've said it before. If somebody would lay a hand on my nephew, or even Reagan's head,
or your niece too,
or my niece, any child. I taught preschool for a long time, and I would tell those parents when they drop their kids off, these kids are now my kids. Like, I'm going to protect them like they're my own, because you're entrusting me to protect them. Therefore, I now take the responsibility from you. You're handing the reins over to me for the day. And these kids are now my kids. And if any one of my kids in any of my preschool, or again, any child really in particular, I just have I have a big soft spot for kids. They're such innocent little individuals. And if you fucking corrupt that innocence, I will do such terrible, awful, unspeakable things to that individual, because that's just one basic human violation that you do not cross, dude.
Yeah, you don't.
You don't fuck with kids.
Leave them alone. Let them grow up and be innocent, and don't.
You corrupt them. You fuck up their entire life.
Yeah, they're ruined for life.
You
even if they don't
human.
Yeah, it's just
for a lifetime.
Whether or not their mind pushes that back to where they don't ever have to remember it again, it still has a subconscious psychological effect on them for the entirety of their life.
And just like I was talking about earlier with myself and repressing memories, putting that box in the back of their head, they might be able to repress that memory, and then laying in bed at 10:30 one night, they're going to be like, oh, what's in that box? And
boom,
fucked up.
Yeah.
You're reliving it all over again. You fuck up their entire, like, how are they ever supposed to have an intimate moment with their husband or wife?
Never.
From that point forward, because you skewed that for them. You've put an emotional barrier on that basic human principle for them for the rest of their life.
Mm-hmm.
You might as well be destroying a part of them. Like,
they do destroy a part of them.
You're murdering a portion of that human entity.
Yep.
And if you do that, in my mind, you should have your life destroyed. You should not be. That's one thing that I'm all about: forgiveness and second chances. Blah blah blah.
Not for those people.
I'm sorry, man. And maybe that's not like a Christian thing for me to say. I don't know. But I draw a very hard line in the sand when it comes to pedophiles, and you're just preying on something that's so innocent.
I know. Poison's got a good point
Like-
too. Kids should not be exposed to adult themes, no LGBT, no politics, etc. Let them be
Amen.
kids. Let them. Yeah,
Amen.
that's what I'm saying. Let them be kids until they are cognitive enough to realize and think through what all that means.
Well, you just saw Reagan when she came up here. She's like, "Oh, Tommy, oh, Buzz Lightyear."
Yeah,
like
she's
all
a
the toys that I have in
child.
my
She's
office.
just
She's like
playing with
she's more
toys.
excited about that than I've been excited about anything in months. You know,
Right.
like, and you violate that.
You want
like
to take that away from them?
dude, it ignites some really bad fires in the pits of my stomach that I want to rip your fingernails off.
Yep.
I
Put you in a dark basement and you'll never see the light of day again.
want to grab both your eyeballs right out of your head and just it makes me want to do bad things to people.
Don't
It
incriminate
makes me
yourself.
really well, no. Just to be clear, I've never ripped anybody's eyeballs out of their head, and I don't really intend to.
But that's just a feeling you get.
It's that like rage. It's that evil wants to ignite an evil within myself.
Yeah.
You know, to where I just want to fucking do horrible things to that person because you've done such a horrible act on such a precious, innocent individual that I just want to fuck you up.
Right.
I just want to completely destroy you.
And for those of you that are new to the chat or that may have forgotten, this is a staple of what happens on this podcast. We talk about this
Every episode.
every episode, like weekly. And
I have a
we have
passion
our
for
we
it.
have our topics that we want to discuss for the week, but typically at the end of every episode, we're gonna talk about all of this Pizzagate and everything else going on with that. A, because it's a hot topic right now. B, because Alex and I both feel the same way about it. And C, because we want to see it come to an end and we want to see it get blown up and just, out in the open, and everybody just gets that's involved in that just gets ruined
All of those motherfuckers.
because they don't
I wanna watch them
deserve
burn in hell.
they don't deserve anything. And people will try and say it's not real, but Poison's Fantasy is right. Pizzagate is real. It's a thing. It's been happening for decades, and it is well past time that this gets exposed.
Hey,
and
Ghislaine is still alive.
And she squealed. Those documents got released. I read through actually recently all the 100 names that got released and what they what the punishments they got. Some of those dudes got off super light, and it really pissed me off. Because reading what they did and then reading later, like 2 sentences later, that their punishment was 3 years probation, 30 days in jail, 1 year probation. And it's like, what? And then some of the things I read about what some of those people did just were heinous and just disgusting. And I'm glad that those people are getting punished. They're getting punished. I'm not gonna say like they should be, but they are getting punished. Some of the names that she did that were on that list were old names, people that we've already heard about, like Jared Fogle and other stuff. But some of those people are very recent, and they're from both sides of the aisle on the political parties. Some of them were former such and such and former such and such.
I will say, just in a statistical sense, many more Democrats than Republicans.
There were
and
many.
That's not taking a political stance at
That's
all.
not.
I'm
That's just
saying
straight
sheer
facts.
Numbers,
Straight
sheer
facts.
Numbers.
Out of the 100 names on that list, I would venture to say 75 to 80% of the people on that list were Democratic or affiliated with the Democratic Party. There were Republicans on there, and I mean, it doesn't matter what side of the political aisle you fall on. It's disgusting either way.
How about the fact that Joe Biden still hasn't picked a running mate?
Because he's still scared about who the fuck's gonna get indicted on that. I'm
fucking
waiting for
telling
him
you,
to
dude,
get indicted.
I'm telling you, the more that this all plays out, because the very first when I read that article, like Joe Biden's afraid to elect a running mate because Ghislaine Maxwell has been arrested, doesn't know who's gonna make it out on the other side. I was like, okay, this is cool. Like, this is fun to think
You
about.
know what that else?
Especially
You know
because
what
I'm
else
wrapped
that
up in
says
it.
to me is that dude knows a lot of names of people that are involved,
Yeah, dude.
and he's not saying anything, which
Yeah,
is
well,
horrible.
because he would burn himself in an election year.
Well, what needs to happen is
He needs their support.
he's about to burn himself, and I hope he does. Trump's name's been brought up multiple times, but somehow has figured out how to wiggle his way out of those.
I don't understand.
And
how
I
that
don't
dude does
understand
it.
how he's got some good ass lawyers, I think.
I don't understand
But
how he does
he's
it.
wiggled his way out of any type of incriminating shit on that. But
He's-
I'm waiting for it. I feel like it's going to be a calculated move come closer to election time when a lot of bigger names are going to get dropped, or
Dude,
they'll
it's
wait till
August.
after. I know it's August, and they might.
It's August.
Maybe they're waiting till after. I can't. I don't know what the
What?
I don't know what the play is there, and I think that maybe they're not saying anything because election is coming up, and I think I also think maybe if they don't make a play now with any of that shit, they'll wait to see who gets elected and then make a play. In order to destroy that whole thing. I don't know. It's really weird. At this point, I don't give a shit when it happens. It just needs to happen. It just needs to get blown up and blown out. And
I said it last time. It's really hard to have faith in the feds, but I really do have faith in the feds
For this-
right now.
this time I
think,
do.
I think that they're on it, dude.
They have to
I
be.
really,
And
I
I
really
think
do think that they're on it.
I think what they want to release more, but I think they're getting stonewalled through a
Absolutely.
lot of red tape and a lot of legal proceedings. They're getting stonewalled through a lot of things, and the lawyers on both sides of the party, on the big players, are working their asses off to not have this information get released.
I would love to see how many people have been subpoenaed.
Oh, dude, there's probably been so many.
I would love to see that number. And I do agree with Poison when she says it should be 1 bullet per photo or file they were caught with.
For sure. For sure.
Take those fuckers out back.
Take them out. Sad thing is, in Hollywood, Michael Jackson's the biggest name to take the fall, and there's many more worse than him that need to take the fall.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, don't worry. Michael Jackson made good music, so we can still idolize him as a
And
as a
what's his
iconic
name?
music figure.
Woody, what's his face that adopted the Chinese girl and then married her later on? What was his name? Woody something. It was one of the Woodies. Not Harrelson.
Woody Allen?
Woody Allen.
Really?
Yep. Oh, you didn't see that?
No, I did not see that.
Oh my
no.
god, no, dude, he adopted a little Asian girl. I'm not trying to be racist, but I can remember she's Chinese.
No,
but
you're
she's
just saying
she's
the
Asian.
ethnicity of the child.
She adopted. It was like a long while ago. Adopted her. There's pictures. There's the pictures I saw. It was like when she was a younger child. It was like he was the father figure because he adopted her, and then later on down the road, he ended up marrying her. And you can tell in both pictures that girl is wildly uncomfortable. Her body language in both those is very stiff. You can see it in her eyes that she's uncomfortable with the situation. She hates the situation. She hates him. It's disgusting. But
Makes me sick.
it does indeed. Chat, do you have anything
Yeah, I was gonna
else
say
for
we're at
us?
an hour 30.
We're at an hour and a half, so
I'm gonna go watch a movie.
get
with,
some quick hits in here if you've got anything. If it ends up being a big topic, we'll push it to next week and cover it next week. But
Yeah, and absolutely hit us up on.
hit us up during the week. You've got
anything.
our Twitters. Our Twitter handles are at the beginning. They're gonna be at the end again. So follow us both on Twitter. Follow the podcast on Instagram. I try and post clips from the podcast up there. Follow us on YouTube. Like and subscribe. That helps. I will try my best to have this edited and put up tomorrow afternoon, early evening. So you can go back and watch it again. Tell your friends. Tell people you love.
Send it to your friends.
Send it to anybody you think that would find this interesting or whatever. We kind of get the word out about our podcast. But yes,
And
liking and subscribing and leaving comments on the YouTube videos really help us out a lot.
I feel like every week I make a little point on here also that this isn't like a self-serving, like, please follow us, like, so we can get more
Yeah, we're not. I'm
traction.
not. I'm not
Like,
pleading with you guys to like and subscribe.
The only reason I want traction is so we can get more people on board, moving in the right direction. That's why we started this whole thing, is to start a positive movement.
I'm not trying to plead with you guys to like and subscribe so we can get our numbers up.
No,
we just want to get what we're saying.
My goal is to never make a dime off of any of this. I don't want to make any money on any of this whatsoever. I just want to have a real forum to where people can get the truth and we can all engage in very truthful discussions.
Corporate sellouts.
Exactly. The Beirut explosion.
Okay, I might want to talk about that next week. We'll see. I'll touch on it a little bit. So Beirut explosion wasn't the only one, and apparently there were many more globally. My only source is an Instagram post and my brother who told me about another explosion in the UAE. That to me, I will say this: it was not just a fireworks warehouse. No matter how many fireworks you put in one area, it's not going to leave a fucking crater like that explosion did in the docks. It's not going to blow windows out 15 miles away. All right, there was more to that than just a fireworks warehouse. I've seen some things. I need to do some more research on it, but no, it was not just fireworks.
It was improperly stored ammonium nitrate.
Yeah,
okay. What it was.
There's that as well. So, and I did see the sparklers going off. So there could have been fireworks.
No, that's
ammonium nitrate does that.
Well, no. So there was a fire at a nearby fireworks warehouse, and that fire is what ignited the ammonium nitrate.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I did a lot of research on it because I was like, is this a fucking attack? Like, are we being told, not the whole... I really do think, because they're not known for their proper techniques of following protocol. Like, their government is pretty corrupt from what I understand. And
it's a beautiful city and a beautiful country.
And I don't think it was a terrorist attack, I don't think it was anything. I think it was a fire at a fireworks facility that led to that ammonium nitrate being exposed to a high level of heat, and then that ammonium nitrate was improperly stored. And I'm going to screw this up, but I was listening to a chemical expert describe it. So like, if you improperly store it, it actually will start creating heat within itself. So it will actually start getting hotter within itself, because if like drying agents aren't used or something like that. Like,
it's like when you store wet hay bales together.
Well, so ammonium nitrate is what Timothy McVeigh used for his bombs, for his terrorist attack. Mm-hmm. That's how he created. So you basically set up a huge bomb by improperly storing all this ammonium nitrate. You're basically setting up like a situation to where if it does get induced any sort of heat at all, this is a huge bomb.
Yeah.
Like, this is a fucking cargo ship
size bomb.
That's basically set up to be a time bomb. And when you introduce heat from a local source,
boom.
Well, that's what fucking happens.
Apparently there were 6 countries, including Beirut and UAE, who apparently got bombed. I don't know. We'll see. I'll have to do more research into it, but and I don't know how well I trust Facebook's fact checking.
Fuck Facebook and their fact checking.
But there was videos
can lick my ass.
videos circulating on Facebook that they switched. I don't know how they did this. Technology's wild, but they switched the videos of the explosion to thermal, and it looks like a missile came in to that explosion, and that's what set it off.
Well, that's what an ammonium nitrate bomb would look like.
Yeah,
it looks like a fucking missile
when you blow. Yeah, so I don't know. It was weird. You see a little white line just go down, and then the big
that's
explosion.
A different story.
Take this with many, many grains of salt. Facebook's fact-checking proved that was a fake video. I don't know where... I would also need to research this. I don't know where Facebook gets and how they do their fact-checking and what they fact-check against. To me, I don't. Nobody's had a problem with Lebanon for as long as I can remember.
No, if anything, it'd be Iran right now.
Right. So I don't think anybody in the Western world sent a missile into the harbor and the port of Beirut to blow up an ammonium nitrate like storage area. That seems wildly implausible to me.
Yeah.
I did, however, when I first saw the explosion, think terrorists, but terrorists, I don't know.
Well,
Again, more research on my part will be needed because I don't know if terrorists have any type of, they didn't really have any type of MO to attack London other than like we're Westerners.
Yeah.
So I don't think it wasn't a terrorist. I don't think it was a terrorist attack either.
There's very little motive in this situation for anyone
for it to be terrorists or the Western world. So I don't.
There's really nothing to gain.
There's nothing to gain from dropping a crater in Beirut's port.
Unless fucking Kim Jong Un is just flexing his nuts or something like
yeah,
that's the only
the last time they tried
situation I could think of.
The last time they
tried
can't
even.
Yeah, the last time they tried
to get one off the coast.
Yeah, I was gonna say the last one they tried to test it fucking failed miserably. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it was just a very, very unfortunate accident.
Dude, those fucking videos. Though, there's that one lady on the BBC network. She
got blown across the room.
Interview. Dude, that first
shockwave
explosion hits, and she kind of starts looking around, and then it's like 5 seconds later, it's just.
Yeah. Like, so I saw the videos. The shockwave was insane. And I saw that explosion had the same explosive power as 3 kilotons of TNT, which is a fuck ton of TNT.
Yeah, it measured on the Richter scale.
Yeah, it measured 4.5 on the Richter scale, which is a decently hefty earthquake.
Yeah.
Also, just for reference, 3 kilotons of TNT is about the same as a fifth of the power of the bomb that we dropped on Hiroshima. So, I mean, it was big. You can see it on the maps that they put out, to the damage. Like, there was obviously immediate and extensive damage at the explosion. Then you can watch.
It was a blast, dude.
You can watch the shockwave roll out, and it's blowing windows out as it goes, because shockwaves tend to do.
It's a mushroom cloud.
It was a small mushroom cloud, for sure. They said there was damage out to 15 miles away given that shockwave, which is insane. But yeah, I can do some more research on that. We might touch on it some more next week. But
we'll have to start like a GoFundMe one of these days so we can donate to cleanup efforts and stuff, because
charities.
It's like
and
my
shit.
first thought is I just want to go out there and help.
Yeah.
Like these fucking poor people, dude.
It's horrible. But
it's not good.
But yeah, I think we'll leave you guys with that for this week. And we'll see you next Sunday at whatever time we deem.
7, 8.
We'll probably go about
7
7 to 8 next week.
Before we get off, I just want to one more time say thank you to the new people that are engaging in the chat, because that's really that's cool. It makes us feel like what we're doing is worthwhile and
exactly.
people are enjoying it. So
I'll say thank you for Spaceman again for your raid at the beginning.
Amen.
For bringing the people that were in your stream over here. Marcus, thank you for following and hosting us, so that people on your stream, if they come while you're offline, saw at least a little bit of us. And Poison Fantasy, thank you for following. And I'm glad that you feel at home with this podcast, and hopefully you come back next week and subsequent weeks after that. And
I just said to Poison in the chat, welcome home. We're glad you're here.
Indeed. And tell
we'll set up a cot for you.
Tell your friends, tell your family, tell whoever you come across that think they would enjoy. If you think they would enjoy this, or just think that they would benefit from the information we try and get out. But other than that, you guys have a safe week. Be good to people. Be good to yourselves. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your mentals. And
Hey, be good. Like what Ben just said. Sorry, this is the last thing I'll say. Be good to yourselves. All right. I'm the king of negative self-talk, and people say it all the time. There's nothing that anyone can say to me that I haven't already said to myself, and that's a dangerous and not a good place to live within. So be good to each other, and absolutely be good to yourself as well.
And Phil, I didn't mean to blow you off, but sorry. Thanks for coming in on the tail end, buddy. But yeah, we'll see you guys next weekend, Sunday night. Until then, like I said, be safe and be good to yourselves and be good to others. And we'll see you next week. All right, guys. All right, bye.
Love you guys.